your business is growing, congratulations, and you are busier than ever, and you are thinking about taking on your first employee. And that may send a shiver down your spine where you think about the land of red tape that you are about to enter with employment laws, HMRC, and taxes to consider. But I promise you it's not as complicated as you may think. So we are going to cover the 5 things that you need to consider before taking on an employee in the UK. So we will count down from number 5 to number 1, which is the biggest question by far that I get asked all the time about whether somebody is self-employed or employed. So before we begin, if I could just really quickly ask you to hit that like button, it will just help share this content with other small businesses in the UK too. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you found this helpful and you want to be notified of similar content just like this. So starting with number 5, the first thing that you need to know all about before taking on an employee in the UK is how much exactly that is going to cost you. Unfortunately, there are more costs to taking on an employee over and above their salary or the hourly rate that you choose to pay them. In the UK, employers also have to pay employers' national insurance, and you have to set up a pension scheme for all eligible employees as well. So you've got national insurance costs, pension costs, as well as considering any additional costs such as holiday pay, sick pay, and parental leave too. So the costs can add up. I've got another video, I'll put the link in the comments below, and it should be popping up at the top for you, that walks you through exactly how you can calculate how much an employee is going to cost you before you take them on, so that you can make sure that it is affordable to you. But my number 1 tip is that no employee should ever be a cost to your business. Every single employee that is in any company should pay for themselves after 3 to 6 months. Even if you're taking on somebody such as a PA that might help with the admin and the organisation in your business, after a 3 to 6 month period, they should have freed up enough of your time that you can redeploy that time on sales generating tasks that help to grow your business and ultimately deliver profit that covers your employees' costs. So if you've got anybody in your business that's been there for more than 6 months and your profit is down because you have employed somebody, then that is a big red flag and you need to be taking some action. A lot of small businesses also worry about the impact on their cash flow of taking somebody on. So a general rule that I apply to this is to make sure that you have 3 months worth of their employment costs in your bank account. So can you pay that person for 3 months? And if you can answer yes to that question, then you're probably ready to take on an employee. Okay, so we started at number 5, which was planning how much they're going to cost you. We're now going to have a look at number 4, and that is how you register with HMRC. So you have to register with HMRC as an employer if you're going to pay somebody more than £123 per week. So unfortunately, even if it's a one-off, you do still have to register with HMRC. There are a few weird and wonderful laws relating to some industries such as farming, for example, where this is slightly different because it allows for casual workers. But as a very general rule, which will probably apply to 99.9% of UK businesses, if you pay somebody more than £123 per week, you must register as an employer with HMRC. There is a very simple online form that you can fill out yourself. You don't necessarily need an accountant to help you with this. But if you do have an accountant or bookkeeper, then often they will provide this setup service if you sign a contract with them for them to do your payroll. And it can take up to 2 weeks for this registration process to happen. So you need to be thinking about doing this a minimum of 2 weeks before you plan on paying the employee. Okay, so number 3 of what you need to be thinking about before you employ somebody in the UK is what holidays you are going to offer. Now, pretty much most small businesses will offer the legal statutory minimum holiday entitlement, which is 28 days for a full-time employee. And if you have somebody that does part-time hours, then you just take this 28 and pro-rata it. But what you can do is to have a think about how and when you would like the employees to be able to take their holiday. So a really great example of this is bank holidays. So what is actually really common for a lot of businesses to do is if they shut on a bank holiday, they will say to their employees, you get 8 bank holidays paid, and then you get 20 days of holiday that you can take at a time that you choose. So the 20 days holiday plus the 8 bank holidays still adds up to the 28 days statutory minimum. But it just means that as an employer, you can control when your employees take time off. So I've worked with another business and they are completely quiet during the school holidays in August. So they always say that they like their employees to take a minimum of 1 week during that 6-week period. So you can pretty much write what you want into an employment contract around your holidays, but you do need to obviously make sure it's not too onerous, because you don't want to put people off working for you. At the end of the day, you want to be able to attract good employees into your business that you can retain, because there is a cost of recruitment and onboarding too. So have a think about when the quiet times in your business are, when the busy times in your business are, and when you probably would say an absolute no to holiday. You can jot this down in the contract and make your employees aware of it before they come and work for you. So another thing similar to holidays that you need to think about is sick pay. With sick pay, there is a legal minimum requirement that you do need to pay employees after they have been sick for 4 or more days. And in the UK, we have a process called self-certification, and that means that the employee does not need to have a doctor's note or a fit note, as it's now referred to, if they are off sick for less than 7 days. So you need to have a think about, firstly, in your contract, what process you want your employees to follow if they're not very well and they need to let you know that they're not able to work. So do they need to call you? Do they need to contact you every day? So think about the steps that you would want an employee to take should they be sick. But more importantly, you need to think about what sick pay they're entitled to. So as a minimum, there's statutory sick pay that has to be paid to all employees, but you can choose to top that up and offer additional company sick pay on top of that. So it's actually quite common for employers to pay company sick pay based on length of service. So typically they might say that if you've been with the business less than a year, you don't get any company sick pay, you just get the statutory minimum. But after a year, you might get 5 days of company sick pay at full pay, and then this increases maybe once you've been there for 5 years, 10 years, etc. We have looked at how you can register with HMRC as an employer. We've looked at holiday pay and also sick pay and what you need to make sure you have covered off in your contract. And now we have got to number 1, which is probably the most common question that I get asked as a chartered accountant when people are thinking about employing somebody, and that is whether they can take on somebody on a self-employed basis or whether they are employee. Now, you may have also heard this referred to as IR35, or whether they're an off-payroll contractor, something around that sort of terminology, but essentially it's referring to the same thing. So regardless of what you write in an employment contract, whether somebody is an employee for tax purposes is based on the substance of the relationship and not on what is written in the employment contract. So it is not okay to simply say, I'm going to take this person on and they're going to be self-employed, and you'll write that in the contract and then that exonerates you from any knock-on impacts with HMRC. You cannot do that. So you need to make sure that you are fully covered here and that you're clear on what basis you are taking somebody on. So there is quite a significant difference actually between whether somebody is employed or self-employed. And if it sounds like they're an employee, they probably are an employee, and therefore they are legally entitled to things like national minimum wage, sick pay, holiday pay, parental leave. But also you as an employer has to pay certain taxes for them too and pay them through a payroll. So they are most likely to be classed as an employee when you as the employer controls what they do, when they do it, and how they do it. So what they do just simply means is, can you ask them to do anything within their job description or within reason within your business? So if they're paid to answer the telephone and all of a sudden it's quiet for the day, can you redeploy them on doing something else? If you answer yes to that, they're probably an employee. And then think about how they work and when they work. So do you provide their computer equipment? Do they have to follow set company processes? Do you control their working hours? So if these things are true, then the chances are this person would be deemed as an employee. Now, they could be classed as self-employed if they control what they do, when they do it, and how they do it. So this means, for example, are you contracting them to do a job for you? I.e., you need to complete this task, I'm paying you X amount of money, it's up to you how long it takes, how you work, and also who does the work. So could they bring somebody in to help them do their work? If you would be quite surprised to find a complete stranger sitting in your office one day and it turned out that your employee had sent them to work instead, what would your reaction be? I always think that's a really good test. If you would be quite shocked, then chances are it's because you've got an employee. But if you're not shocked about having this strange person in your business, chances are it's because you have subcontracted your work to a self-employed person. So I can't stress how important important it is that you don't overlook this one. Not only could you be fined for not following the correct process, but also you could be liable for any backdated compensation such as missed national minimum wage, sick pay, holiday pay, for example. The most famous case of this was Uber, where Uber had said that all of its drivers were self-employed, but actually HMRC took them to a tribunal, and actually the employees themselves took Uber to a tribunal, and HMRC sided with the employees and said that they were in fact employees and not self-employed, and Uber had to give up to £12,000 of compensation to each employee for loss in earnings, and they also had to backdate all of the taxes to HMRC too. So taking on an employee for the first time can seem really daunting. Not only as a business owner can it be quite nerve-wracking whether you're going to earn enough every year to pay your own bills, but now you've got somebody else relying on you for their income too. But don't let this put you off. Watch this video, take it step by step. You can break it down and see how easy it is to actually employ somebody in your business. And if you haven't done so yet, check out my other video which goes in depth into the costs of what it's really like to employ somebody in your business. So there are some great resources out there too. ACAS, which I will put the link to their website in the comments below. ACAS is a fantastic resource that really just covers in quite straightforward English what employees and employers' rights and obligations are. So that's a really good source of information. They also have a helpline too, so you can contact them if you've got specific questions. And another one that I've heard good things about is the FSB, the Federation of Small Business. If you are a member, then part of their membership, you can get access to free contracts such as employment contracts, and they also have an employer's helpline where you can get legal advice too. So ACAS is a free resource, FSB is paid for. And of course there's HMRC, and don't forget to join my group as well, because I am a former finance director. I have done literally thousands of payroll in my time, so I do know a thing or two about payroll and employment law and taxes. So let me know if you've got any questions in the comment below. And also I'd love to hear if you are planning on taking on an employee for the first time. It's a really, really exciting stage in any business, so I'd love to hear. Drop me a comment below, and don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button.